Welcome, welcome, welcome to Hypnosis for Healing with Ana Isobel. And she is an amazing lady and actually was interviewing me yesterday. So do please catch it. I'll put that in the link with your email when I send this recording out to you. Just to give you a little bit of background, we met quite recently, actually, through a mutual friend, David Chalalambos, who you'll find is also on the recordings on the YouTube channel and on my website. Amazing guy, all about the psychological side of healing. So I met Ana Isobel through him, and another amazing person is you, Ana. So I will leave it to you to say, who are you? How do you know these things? And do tell us all, who are you?
Well, I am an analytical hypnotherapist. So that we can think a bit about hypnosis being used for different purposes. And most people's experience of hypnosis is stage hypnosis, which has nothing to do with what I do, beyond the fact that we're using hypnosis as a tool. So where I come in is I'm an analytical hypnotherapist, and there's a distinction to be made
What does
because
that
exactly there's a distinction to be made because people, again, if they're thinking about hypnosis for healing purposes, they think that it's like I want to quit smoking, so I'm going to be hypnotized to quit smoking. And interestingly, there are hypnotherapists who operate purely at that level, where they will help you to get into a hypnotic state and then feed images and instructions into your mind. Interestingly, that is effective for about 40% of people. That's not that high a number. We want it to be, 100%.
Sure.
So the
You go there
question,
for a problem and you want to get it
exactly.
sorted.
So the question is, why is that not effective for everyone? And the reason it's not effective for everyone is because that's operating almost on an assumption that we are reprogrammable. And we're not. We're not computers. So that 40% who, so you, in fact, you will see that they tell you that it's like 99% of people, will stop smoking with hypnosis. That's true for a short period of time because they will then relapse. And that's where that 40% comes in. And the reason it works for them is because they want that change. They are ready for that change. And their subconscious accepts the instruction. So why is it that only a certain number of people will accept the instruction? And that's, again, because we're not reprogrammable. This is not a matter of just programming. And people come to me and it's like, it's like they come to me and they think I'm just going to fix the problem, magic wand, just like that. And no, your subconscious has something to say about that. So what is the subconscious? The subconscious is your emotional self. The emotional self that you may or may not be aware of. Because most of us have no idea what's going on in there until we have these dreams at night. And then we can't work them out because they're usually quite symbolic. So this is the world of our emotional landscape. It works at an imagery level, at a symbolic level, because our brains do work with symbols. So this is why archetypes. So the other thing that I'm also very passionate about and do is I'm an astrologer. Why does that work? And let's not even think about, the chart and, why there's a link between heaven and earth. Just looking at the symbols on the chart and the archetype that they represent, our minds are predisposed to work in symbolism, which is again why, if we're looking at ancient texts, a lot of that is not to be taken literally. In fact, very little of it is to be taken literally. Our ancestors understood this, and their storytelling always was very symbolic, because that's what we respond to at an emotional level. So coming back to hypnosis,
Definitely.
coming back to that hypnosis side, we need to almost create an interface to understand our dreams. And we need imagery to speak to our subconscious, but it's not enough. We also need to listen. And that's the problem when we have just somebody talking at the subconscious, even though you're in a hypnotic state, and the subconscious listens to it and goes, like that bit, like that bit, like that bit, don't like that bit. I don't like that bit. And the question is, why? What is the rub there? So for my job then is, when a client comes in, to work out what's going on at a subconscious level. And often it feels like the client, I used to be a teacher, and every so often I had, a parent arriving with a child, and they'd be called in because basically I was struggling with that child. And I needed to talk to the parent to see what was going on at home and how we could work together to sort out this issue. And the parent would be going, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with him. I've tried this, I've tried that. And so here I am, the teacher, and they want me to fix the problem. And it's not like that. It's a joint effort. And the joint effort is speaking to the child, understanding the child, and working to help the child to get the best out of them. And that's exactly what I'm doing. People come and they sound like the exasperated parent. I want to lose weight. Why can't I lose weight? I just can't seem to. Or, in fact, I have a close working relationship with a specialist who works with hair loss, whether it's alopecia or people pulling out their hair. And I get a lot of referrals because people arrive, they've been pulling out their hair, and they're exasperated with themselves. Why am I doing this? Why can't I stop doing this? I want to stop doing this. Well, you can't just say, I want to stop doing this.
Absolutely.
Because we're dealing with compulsive behavior. And actually, any behavior that people are bringing me is compulsive. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's compulsive. And if it's compulsive, you have to treat it like an addiction in a sense. And if that's the case, then there's an underlying emotional reason that's driving that behavior. And if you want to change that behavior, you have to understand it. So this is where hypnosis is brilliant, because when we're in hypnosis, we're in both a very relaxed state and an alert state. So one of the myths about hypnosis is that, oh, we're asleep or we have no control. No, you are in control. You are totally in control. You know exactly what's going on. If a fire alarm went off, I guarantee you'd be out that door fast. You know what's going on. Excuse me.
Definitely. Absolutely. And it's we do things by triggers and patterns, don't we? That's not the issue. That's the reflection of the issue of what's actually going on.
Exactly. So always I tell my clients, no, this is a symptom. And we have to, in order to clear the symptom, we have to understand what's driving the behavior. So how
would you work with somebody? So they'd come to you, they have a problem like overweight or whatever. Not talking about me, of course. What would you do with them?
So I listen. I mean, really, I do a lot of listening, because first, before we even get into that hypnotic state, the language that they're using is really important. So a good example, I had a client who came to me. She was about to change jobs, and it was going to require a train journey. And she was phobic about being on trains. So she came in, and I just listened to her and realized that she was describing her life, because she told me all about the phobia. She told me about the job change. And then so I said, so I wanted to get to know her a little bit better. And I was getting her to talk to me about her life and how things were with her in her life. And she said to me, well, the language that she used to describe her life was the same language she used to describe how she felt on trains. It was perfect. It was like a textbook case of a projection of a phobia, or of a phobia that was actually a projection of, or transference of, her emotional state about things in life. She talked about feeling trapped on trains. She talked about feeling trapped in her life. And when I pointed it out, it was the biggest light bulb moment. It was a true epiphany. And she just went, oh, we didn't even need hypnosis for this one. She was on a train the next day. However, the only reason that was the case is because she now knew she was on the road to getting help, to sorting out why she felt trapped in her life.
Exactly. So that was just the beginning of the story.
But that was
the first nut. That was the first awakening. Aha! She needed that presence of you to reflect that back to it and notice that and to bring it to her attention.
Yeah.
And already that got her on the train again. But then that was just the beginning of healing, though.
Exactly, because had she not then addressed why she was feeling trapped in her life, odds are she'd start feeling claustrophobic again. If not on the train, then in lifts, in anything else, because that was the feeling. It needed to be addressed. So had she for that, she didn't need hypnosis. The hypnosis came to deal with the other stuff, the bigger stuff. So as I was explaining, the state of hypnosis, we're both alert and relaxed. And why that's important is because we seem to be able to learn better when we're in a relaxed, alert state. So that's really important. So very often children are very, very nervous in class. They're not relaxed. And we're expecting them to learn. Well, that is an actual hostile environment for learning, because the child's not relaxed. They're not going to remember. You know yourself. If you're relaxed, you're going to remember things. If Definitely. You're not, your mind is on something else. You're tense. You're not in a receptive state. That's the thing. Is we want to be in a receptive state. That's what the relaxation is for. But you're also in an alert state, because you have to be able to interact. And what are you doing? You're interacting with yourself. All I'm doing is I'm acting as the guide and facilitator. So I'm asking the questions. So what we do then, once my clients are in a relaxed state, in fact, before we get there, we're identifying the feeling we need to work with. And let's say it's anxiety. We locate that anxiety in the body. Where do you feel it? And the reason we're doing that is because we want you to connect. We want you to connect with the feeling. And the minute you're feeling it in your body, you are connected with it. You are embodying it. You are there. Then
that's the critical factor, isn't it? And those who have been on the pain-free method, you know exactly what this is all about. connect to the feeling is.
And you know that's why I recognize what you do so readily.
It's the same stuff, isn't it?
The same stuff. So you're embodying it, you're feeling it. Describe it. Imagine what it looks like. What does that feeling look like? Now it's in your body, it's there. What does it look like? Imagine you could see it. What is that thing now? Somebody was referring to a feeling of being stuck the other day as a monster in her chest. Okay, so let's hear what the monster has to say. I am the grizzly monster inside so and so's chest. My job is to. What is that trying to do? It's trying to make me fail. Okay, that's the understanding at that point. It might not be. It might be trying to protect you from the feelings, that disappointment that comes from failure. But you don't know that because that's not how you feel it. But that's okay. So we get that feeling, we get the imagery, and then we're going to go into a relaxed state. Because you're already there. We want you to be emotionally open. One of the things that we know is that the more intensely emotional we are, the more suggestible we become. So it's one of the reasons why the nudge unit that government's been operating has been so careful to ensure that when they want to give messages, they're high impact emotional messages, because they want to knock you and open you up. Because when you are open, you will receive suggestion more readily. And to give you an example of this, when I was training, there was a documented case that was quite illustrative of this. There was a car accident, and there was a woman who was severely injured and really bleeding. One of the witnesses to the crash was a doctor who happened to be skilled and knowledgeable about hypnosis. She was bleeding. She was really bleeding. He went over to her and said to her, "Now, I'm a doctor. Now, dear, you're going to be fine, but you really want to stop bleeding because you're going to need that blood." The bleeding stopped. So she's in a highly open emotional state, and an authority figure has just come in and told her to stop bleeding. She's not in a state where she can question because she is so emotional. She just accepted it. So this is how important it is that I don't skip that stage of helping people connect to the emotion, because right there, that's their psyche opening up. And so it's absolutely crucial that if I'm looking slightly distracted, it's because my dog is needing to be removed from the room. Calling my partner to say, Teddy needs out. So my apologies. Anyway, so
I find that animals often come into these talks about healing. They know it. They live it every day. They know this stuff. I just want to say, Karen, just to bring in Karen's comment, Karen said it's all about connecting. I completely agree with that.
So when you're already there, you're now emotionally open, and that makes the job easier. You go into a state of relaxation, and we amplify the feeling. And I start asking for words that connect with that feeling. And once we've got that, that's now the key to start going back to the memories that have created the feeling in the first place. So we go back into the memories, and it's not just about, there used to be a big thing about catharsis and healing. No. Catharsis and healing, okay, there's a cathartic element to it, but you could actually reopen the trauma and leave the person there. The healing happens because of the questions that are asked. So the person is
honing into the reason it's there, the reason the problem is there.
So it's more than that catharsis. It's going back to those moments in time. And I rarely just go back to one memory. I kind of do an exploratory tour of the subconscious memory at that point. So it's, I'll get one memory, I'll get two memories, I'll get three memories. 2 hours is probably about enough to cover three memories. Unless there's one that's so predominant that we really have to keep working at it. But normally I'm looking for, and I'll begin with the one that is most intense. So when I say that, what comes next is I choose the one that is the most intense.
I'm just wondering, because you're taking people, so they come to you with a problem, which could be any kind of problem, and you're looking for essentially the root cause, and you draw them in and you bring them into a relaxed state. I'm waiting for, where's the pendulum coming in? There isn't one.
There's no pendulum. No,
where's the hypnosis part of it?
Okay. So the induction part is what you're asking about.
Okay.
So induction is about the inducing the state of hypnosis, and it's very, very simple. It's focusing on your breathing to begin with. So just as you would begin meditation by focusing on your breathing, you focus on your breathing because that automatically takes you into the parasympathetic nervous system. So you're now getting into that relaxed state. So there's the two elements. There's the opening up of the emotional psyche, but then there's the getting into that relaxed state. And we begin with breathing. Breathing triggers immediately going into the parasympathetic emotional state. And then it's a question of deepening that. And I will deepen that state and take you deeper into hypnosis using my voice and imagery. So my voice will always be calming, will always be soothing. And I will be using imagery that you have given me of places and things that make you feel good and happy and relaxed. And then we start going into that world, and I will from there step into intensifying the emotions more and getting you in to go into your memories.
And what happens if you've got someone very resistant, very traumatized? They can't go there, or it's difficult for them to reconnect with things. Then what?
Yeah, in that case, and that happens in a small number, there's a small number, I use purely imagery. So we're not going back into those memories, but I will use imagery. And here's the thing, is that I can't tell you exactly what I'm going to do because I never know. I never know because I have to deal with what presents itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have two clients at the moment, funnily enough, who are like that. I often use astrology. In fact, I always use astrology. Because if I have the person's chart in front of me, I have a pretty good idea of where I need to go. I don't direct them, as in I don't tell them, because it has to be client-led. But if we're stuck, I know what questions to ask.
Because you do a lot of amazing modalities, didn't you? Not just hypnotherapy, analytical hypnotherapy, but also specializing in emotional issues, past life regressionist, astrologer, dealing with ancestral traumas, stress-induced conditions. There's a lot of strings to your bow and of your abilities.
It's all connected, and that's the thing, is I just have to work out where's the door, and the chart helps me. The astrology chart helps me with that. It helps me to see where the door is. But to answer your question, what happens if people can't go into that into the past, that's again, we just take a trip into the subconscious through imagination. And
if it's really tough, if they're finding very difficult to go there, which I have clients myself, and some people, you know who you are, it's really, really challenging. You know, they're staying in the present because that's the safe place, even if it is in pain and in trauma.
But what you can do, and what I have done with clients like that, and it does work, is you can identify it, or you already know where you feel it in your body. And now you can start bringing in healing energy. And you use imagery to do that. You use imagery to do that. And I also, funnily enough, have taken to using crystals to help with that, to amplify that energy, and also sacred oils. So what sacred oils are is essential oils used for a sacred purpose. So this brings in the idea of plant consciousness. And so if people are open to this, we can definitely, it works beautifully, because all I do is I offer them a selection of oils and they feel which one they're drawn to. And the oils I give them, I know are oils that are going to be helpful in this set of circumstances. You know, if it's something
Amazing.
that's with family history, if it's, I know because I'm using them myself, and I explore them, and I have a beautiful detailed journal of all my stuff to do with my meditations with sacred oils and what I've learned. So I can refer back to it. I think, oh yes, cedarwood might be helpful for this, or this is a rose oil that's needed here. So it's a really important thing.
I think that's really beautiful to have all these different modalities. You have access to the crystals, the oils, and you know, obviously you have a lot of experience of these things, and to bring these different modalities in to support and love us and guide us and help us, support us in the healing journey. I think it's really beautiful. Sorry about the cat.
It is. It's not my primary tool. My primary tool is your imagination, but
Wow.
the crystals can enhance that. The oils used in this sacred way enhance that. So there's lots of things that we can do to help with the healing. And always I work with the person's belief system as well. So if the person believes in angels, I'm going to call on angels to come and help, because I believe in angels. It's very easy for me to work with angels. It's not, for me, that's not an imagination thing. They believe it. I believe it. It's real. And we can call on them. We can call on anything that working with the person's belief system. Because what we want is to make the experience of the healing energy be as tangible and real as possible. That's really,
you're bringing in all these different ways to hold that space for the person, so that they can what is the objective here? It's connect to the imagination, connect to the whatever stuck thing, the problem thing is in that person. Is am I getting it on the button there?
Exactly what you're wanting to do. You see, if I can get people to go back to the memories, then the next step from there is, I'm so sorry, I do have to let him out of the room because
you've got the dog, I've got the cat. I'll keep talking.
My partner has not heard my
Wonderful. So, I mean, what I notice about healing, as some of you know already, that I teach the pain-free method, that the more I do this, I notice that thank you, Rose, thank you for saying that, and Fantastic. But what I notice is that as I meet other healers and talk to not just healers, but everybody, the reflection, the similarity, the repetition of the same stuff, I see it over and over. And the way you're talking, Anna, it's just, yeah, I get it. And you have all those beautiful modalities that you bring to the table as well to help and guide somebody.
It's very exciting. When I am able to get people to, which is in the majority of cases, to go back to those sensitizing incidents, what then happens is that we can engage in dialogue with the characters involved. So it could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be an ex-partner,
Wow.
whatever it is. And that dialogue then is very helpful because it gives them a voice. So I had a client recently where, you know, she'd been bullied by some boys, and it gave her the opportunity to come back with some good quips when they were you know, being really mean to her. It gave her a voice, it empowered her. And so now the feeling has changed, and because she was able to do that, she now read the situation very differently. She saw that the boys had meant no harm. They weren't being bullies. She felt they were being bullies. They were being insensitive boys. That changed the whole dynamic of how she perceived it. And it changed the dynamic of how she saw herself as not being a victim.
Change the story, and all the ripples go through you, isn't it? Everything readjusts and shifts.
Yeah, it's and that's the key. So gosh, I'm so sorry. It turns out my partner's in the bath and Teddy really needs a wee because he's insisting on being let out. Please forgive me.
Is Teddy your partner or the dog?
It's my lovely cockapoo. He really needs me to let him out. I'm so sorry.
They know what they want. You know, Mom, come on. Oh, yeah, amazing. Isn't she amazing, everybody? And all these different modalities. Oh my goodness. And then when I think that she does, and she adds another thing. Goodness me. And I feel like having a treatment myself. Go and get into contact. What I will do is after this talk, I'll be sending the recording to you by email. Hopefully, I hope to get it to you tonight, but definitely tomorrow. And I'll be putting her contacts. I'll go and have a look at her information and how to get in touch with her to get a treatment, to have a chat with her. And explore it more. If you're feeling inspired, I'm feeling inspired. Really amazing, extraordinary, isn't it? What with through not just hypnosis and then the mechanisms of that to connect with your imagination and what are dealing with the struggles that you're having, and to explore the depths of that. What is that? And through your imagination, and then all these other modalities, the astrology, so knowing, you know, how you tick, with the plant consciousness, through your imagination, with the oils, through the angels, through the crystals. What has this girl not done? Really amazing. I love all this stuff myself. I hope you're enjoying the talk too, everybody. It's all going to be online. Yep. So the recording goes to your email, and all you have to do is just click on it, then you can watch it all over again. And on that page they send you with the recording on it, it'll have all Anna's contact details and things she wants to share with you. Is Teddy okay?
He definitely needed a wee. It was a very big one.
Poor thing holding on. He probably does. Try not to interrupt you.
Oh goodness me. Anyway, so that dialogue is really important because it's reshaping the perception, and that's that's the learning point. The learning point is moving beyond the child's perception of the event, because remember, when we're children, we're coming from a perspective that the world revolves around us, particularly before the age of 5 even. And certainly up until 4, we have no sense of other people having different thoughts to us. We are the center, we are connected with everything, which means that we interpret events as us being the cause of the events.
That makes complete sense. And as children, we take it on fully.
We do.
I notice when I'm working with clients that they come to me with a physical condition. I help people to release physical things, but it nearly always goes back to childhood. Not always, but very often. And I'm really, oh gosh, you know. And why? Because it really is part of our muscle and part of our physicality, and that's why we can have things for years and years till adulthood. Absolutely. It really is ingrained, especially if it's like a trauma or something.
And that's why it's so important to bring the adult into the picture. So wow. once we have that conversation with the perpetrators, or of the incident, we then need to talk to the part of the self that was actually there, to bring in a new understanding. And so sometimes clients need a little bit of help with that. And that's where I step in, and I ask, would it be true to say that this might be a different way of looking at it? And so on it goes until, and here's, I love this bit. I loved it when I learned about it, and I love doing it, calling it the smile test. When the child smiles, we're done. We're done. But the other thing that tells me we're done is the feeling in the body disappears.
That's the evidence of it, isn't it? That is the evidence of it.
So
wow. You're blowing my mind. It really, I hope, I don't know how everyone's feeling listening to Anna, but it's like, as I was just saying when you went away, just when I think that's what you do, and then you come in with another incredible layer, and then when the physical thing disappears, that's the evidence of it, isn't it? Yeah. Or the person smiles.
So I might say, so how's that grizzly monster in your chest doing? Oh, he's gone.
Wow.
Gone. And it's like, yes, then I know we're done. But I will then work, if I haven't already worked through all the memories, I will then work through the others as well. And it's the same process for each of the memories. We have the dialogue. I have to gauge sometimes what's needed. Is it a dialogue with the person that's involved, or is it a dialogue with my client in that time? Sometimes it's not a dialogue needed with the other people. It's a dialogue with that younger version of themselves, to give them a new perspective, to give them a different thing. Other times it's absolutely essential, because that process and the dialogue itself, you get out all the feelings, and then how do we end that? We end it in a place of forgiveness. And that's crucial, because what forgiveness is about, it's really about letting go. So we come to a place where, and the words are so lovely. I am I and you are you, and if there are, and I always check, did this person ever do anything good for you? Yes, okay, well, I'm grateful for the good things you've given me. And if at some point we could be friends, that would be good. If not, I can forgive you. And I always check, is that true? What does that mean? And if it's an intention, but the feeling's not there, then we have to talk about that. We have to sort out, what does forgiveness look like here? And what's stopping you from letting go? What further understanding can we bring in to allow that to happen? And that's really very, it's very, all of it is very dynamic, and it's all very important, because even before that, there are statements of affirmation that needs to be made, like, I deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And very often people don't believe that. And until we get to that point where they can say that with conviction and feeling, we're not done. We're not done. So yeah, I feel a bit, anxious saying that. Oh yeah, well, how come? What's happening there? What is it about that statement? So always we're having to work through all the layers, and every time I give a statement, I'm checking, is the person ready for that statement? What's the feeling behind it?
Amazing. So you really, with all your modalities, of course, all the support and love and abilities, you support and guide them, but then you sort of essentially you hold the space for somebody to go through all of that.
Absolutely.
To the point of release, and you're checking all the time, checking in with them, checking in with what they can do, what they want.
There's
Amazing.
Once we get to the point where we can start making those statements, really confidently, then there's a big one. I wasn't put into this world to be the person I wanted you to be. And they say it, and I say, oh, what does that mean then? And if they've got it, great. We move on to the next statement, which is the most challenging one of all. You weren't put into this world to be the person I wanted you to be. And that really trips people up, because that's about expectation and letting go of expectation. But you have to get to that point in order to be able to get to the forgiveness. You see, so it's all of these little steps that are monumental, they're so important. And then when we get to that point where you can say, yeah, I wanted you to be a really good mom, but you weren't. And there are reasons for that, and I can see that. So I'm going to let go of that expectation. Then we can say, I am I and you are you. And I'm grateful for the good things you've given me. If there could be peace between us, that would be good. If not, I can let you go. I can forgive you. That's huge. So
there's layers and layers and layers of experiences, of feelings, of thoughts, of awarenesses about yourself, about what happened to you, what you went through. Yeah. Goodness me. And it can all start off with symptoms and things. I mean, what sort of people, if we can go to, did you want to add something before we go to, I wanted to ask you about what sort of symptoms would be the presenting thing why someone would come to you. What would that be?
Oh, well, all of life's ills and woes, and through my door. So I've talked about hair pulling, addictive behavior, compulsive behavior. Anxiety is probably the most common one. So anxiety, sometimes anger. I have people come to me because, they're so angry and they want the anger to shut up because they're so embarrassed about being so angry because they want to be nice people. And well, the anger is important. What are you angry about? What is it? What's the frustration? So it could be really any number of things. Is
and physical things too.
Physical
and emotional things.
Physical less so, because people generally don't associate this type of work, physical stuff. However, there are times when people come. So, okay, here's something physical. Birth, labor, pregnancy. That's very physical. And so even there, I'm not just giving suggestions for, having a happy birth. I have to make sure that there is no fear around this pregnancy, around this birth. Because if there is, I can say everything I want to say to make this image of giving birth the most wonderful thing in the world. And that is going to kick in, and it's going to be a painful experience when the labor is eventually happening.
Exactly. So the beliefs, the blocks, the imagination about what you're going to experience and what's coming up.
So what's the fear? Is there fear about motherhood? Is there fear about the labor itself? We work through those, and then we stand a really good chance of using the imagination and the subconscious accepting that this is going to be the most beautiful thing in the world. And it works. It works so well that I have clients reporting that they arrive at the hospital and they're told that they can't possibly be in labor because they're so relaxed and happy. They've not believed, and then they're checked, and oh my God, the baby's just there, and now it's this rush, and that's where it gets stressful. It's the reaction of the medical staff that then creates stress for my client, who
Wow.
actually was doing really well until that moment when they go into panic. So I yeah, it's really important. But yes, that's a good example. I also had a friend of ours who's a builder. A few years back, he had a prostate scare, and they tested for that, the protein, and it was too high. So there was this big thing, and I thought, okay, he said, I want, can you help me with this? So he was probably one of my best subjects for physical stuff ever. He relaxes so much. He is so in that moment, so in the picture. Well, when they went and tested it again, the levels, and they said to him, we must have made a mistake. But they had done that test 4 times prior, and it had been consistent. So it was not a mistake. It was exactly that. He just took the suggestion. He wasn't the type of man where we could have done a lot of exploratory stuff. I had to go. He was one of those where it was going in through the back door and using the imagination, and it worked. And he's been
Beautiful.
fine since. He had surgery at another point, and there was post-op pain, and again, that was very successful. I gave him some techniques that he could use after the session, and it worked really, really well.
Because of course it's not just the session itself and the ahas you get. It's, you have to go through the journey. You have to go through the journey and get to the nut of it. And Rose has just said the hardest thing is forgiving someone who's very close to you, knowing they have done you wrong as a child when they should have been your guardian. So we were talking about early experiences of childhood.
That's betrayal.
It goes really deep, isn't it?
It goes so deep. And yeah, absolutely. That's why each session is 2 hours long.
Oh wow.
Because we have a lot of work to do in
I
those.
see that, and then if you've got any resistance, which would be normal, if you've had something for more than 2 minutes, it'd be completely normal to have resistance. And then if it goes back to childhood, you might have lots of layers of whatever, of protection, of whatever.
And so I've one session, but what I need to say is that most people don't need one session, because what can happen, so one of two things happens. You have that session and you come back a month later and I say, so how's it been? And they've completely forgotten that they ever had the issue that they came in with. Amazing. But now a different layer that we need to work on. And so we're going to peel that layer through. So that's very often the case.
And I guess everyone's different, how many sessions they need, what's their story.
Yeah.
You never know.
How relaxed and receptive are they to begin with? That also plays a part. So that's the first possibility. The second possibility is there's been some change, but there's more, because people don't always go where they need to go most.
I know that. We're human, right?
Yeah. because they're not ready
They're
to
not
go
ready.
where it hurts most. So, I mean, I had a client the other day where I know he needs to go to memories related to his stepfather. He didn't go to those. He went to his step aunt, and that was huge. That was huge. I don't think he could have done both of them in one session. But he dealt with his step brothers and sisters, and he dealt with his step aunt, which was really big. But I'm waiting for the moment when, he goes to his stepfather, because I know he needs to go to his stepfather. So we dealt with mom, we dealt with step siblings, we dealt with step aunt. Step aunt and siblings were huge, huge issues. But we have yet to meet stepfather. And I know that's the big one.
And how do you guide people in that moment? So I guess that we instinctively do know that we have to go to certain places that we can't go yet.
Go. I
Right?
never do. I never tell them where to go. What I do is I instruct them to go to a moment in time connected with the feeling that we're working on. And then
So fascinating.
And then the memories come. So that's the thing. And if the memories don't, it's because they don't want to go there. And then I need to do something else.
And then you use astrology or the crystals or the oils or
I'm still using hypnosis. We're just not doing the analytical regression stuff.
Okay.
It's the quickest route. It's the quickest route. It's the quickest and most effective route I know to get there. But we have to go around, around the houses. That's what we're going to do.
That's what you have to do. And as a therapist, you hold that space and allow the journey, hold the space for the person to take the journey, because it's not our journey, is it? Speaking as a therapist, it's holding the space and giving the tools, but it's up to the individual. Are they ready? Do they want to?
Yeah.
Allow themselves to?
I had a client who came to me because of pulling her hair. But one of the things that she mentioned just casually in the very first session was that she had a bit of an issue with alcohol. She didn't want to drink, but when she's around certain people, she drinks too much, right? And I thought, okay, well, we'll deal with the hair, right? So we dealt with a huge number of things to do with her childhood. And then she said to me, oh, you know what? I've stopped drinking and I'm eating better and I'm losing weight and I'm doing. So you see, the hair pulling was one symptom, but there were lots of others that all was not well. That was the most urgent one. But there were other symptoms too. But we just dealt with the more urgent one. And by working with the more urgent one, we helped all the others. That beautiful. I never touched it. I never, it was not an issue that there were peripheral issues which cleared up because we tackled the main issues.
So I find that, with somebody who suffers one thing, they often have multiple periphery things, satellite things, but they're not the thing. They're I call it message speaking louder. And by connecting and releasing the major thing, of course, all of these other things dropped away. Amazing. I'm blown away.
I love what I do. It feels magical because there's so much that happens. It's so dynamic. I never know where we're going. I begin each session by listening, and I'm always guided as to where we need to go.
Beautiful.
And again, the sessions always end. Now we come back to that programming bit that we were talking about, only works in 40% of cases. Now that we've done all of that groundwork, there's a receptivity And so we always end with a beautiful reinforcement visualization in hypnosis based on all the beautiful imagery that I know that my client will respond to. And I weave a tale with lots of reinforcement of the positive things that have been taken from that session. And that's the bit they take away and listen to every day.
Beautiful.
But now, it's like doing the groundwork. They're going to be so much more open and receptive. And if there's something in that recording that suddenly begins to jar with them, I want to know why.
That's
sessions work. Session. That's because it means that there's something there that they're rejecting. And why are they rejecting it? What's going on there? And that's where we then want to do a little bit of exploring, iron that out. I remember years ago, this was a lady who came because of her eating habits, weight loss, but it was her eating habits, obviously. And there were so many layers to this. But I remember we ended the session, the regression work, the dynamic emotional work, with her saying, I'm ready now for a relationship. So part of the visualization came with her being able to be in a relationship. And she really liked that. Next time she came, I said, so, do you still have that feeling that you're ready? Well, she said, I started getting really angry at couples who I see holding hands, and I'm really jealous. I thought, oh, okay, all right, we know what's going on here. That's never going to be me. So I'm ready for it. Yeah, that bit I can accept. I'm really ready for this.
But there's something in there's an emotional something,
but
a resistance of some sort.
It's the resistance is the belief that could never be me. So now I'm not afraid anymore. I want to do it, but it's never going to be me. Oh my God, how painful would that be? To have that feeling, it's never going to be me. So, well, that was the next session.
That's the next session, and that's the next sort of layer. And we are layers and layers and layers. And it depends how deep do you want to go? What results do you want? Do you want to go there at all? And it's all for the decision of the traveler, of the one doing it, isn't it? And we have come to the end of the hour now, and I like to keep it into an hour because it makes it like a really juicy talk. And I don't know how everyone's feeling listening to all of this, but I feel completely blown away and just really delighted and amazed by your layers of how you support somebody and guidance, hold the space, and all these beautiful techniques that you use to help someone to get the results they want. And absolutely beautiful. So are there any final questions for Ana Isobel before we close the call? And Ana Isobel, do you want to say any sort of final words before we close? Or how would you like to wrap this up?
I just want to say that healing is a process. It cannot be rushed. But it is possible. I believe it's possible for everyone. And people sometimes come and they think that they're beyond help. And they're not. Together we'll find a way. And I think that's the thing, is that if you need help, if you need healing, and you find a modality that speaks to you and somebody that you feel a connection with, and you're ready,
gonna fly.
It takes courage, though. It takes courage to face up to all of that inner stuff, and because it's facing up to the pain. but healing is most definitely possible.
I absolutely agree in my experience too. So, Anna, thank you so much for an enlightening and delightful path you've taken us down, and really beautiful. And if you feel that this is what Anna's resonating for you, and you'd like to have a chat with her and see where you want to take this and book some sessions up with her and find out more, I'm going to be sending this recording to your email, so it'll be available on my website, and I'll send it straight to your email. And the contact of how to contact Anna will be there too, and how to take it to the next step to take yourself onto your healing journey if you want, if you're ready, and that's the right next step for you. So meanwhile, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I really appreciate your time, Anna, and thank you so much for sharing your insight and intellect and your beautiful stories. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And do get in contact with Anna if that's the next step for you. Thank you so much. So I'll bring it to a close now. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye for now.